Welcome to Let's Fucking Chat. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Alex. Let's talk about some stuff.
My week was really good. Also, this might be so weird. I hate how you're not giving this camera eye contact. It's like, those people.
I can't. I literally can't. I have
I know.
three.
I feel like due to your setup, you're just like, I have like two other screens, so like, sorry, I can't. But it's weird, like when people are like, "Are you really listening to me?" And you're like, low key not. That's like.
Sometimes
That's
when
how
I
feel.
when I make a point, I'll make sure to look at the camera.
Oh,
It's
great.
like, yeah. So just letting you know.
Okay, that's actually really fucking funny. I can't now. Okay, my week was really good. I left my old job. This is my last week. I was scheduled to work on Friday, and then I decided like I'm not working 9:30, which isn't early, but like I'm just not working. Sorry, I'm like kind of burpy from an IPA, but it's like I'm not coming into this job on my last day because one, I have to work with a person that I just do not enjoy working with, and I'm already leaving, so I don't give a fuck anymore. This job is a stepping stone, and I'm going to places with my degree. Yeah, and my new job. But yeah, so I didn't go on Friday, and I told the manager on Thursday, like, hey, I'm not coming in because this and that. She's like, looked at me and was just like, oh, thank you so much for telling me, like, in the fakest voice ever. And I'm just like, looking at the girl like that I think is like a friend now, like, dude, what did we just witness?
Yeah.
This is kind of awkward. And she before was like, I have a present for you on your last day. And in my mind, it's like, I don't want your fucking present because I'm good. I'm leaving this job. Peace out, my man. Like, adios. But it was good. Today we are recording this on a Saturday, and I went to a mall for the first time in like literally 2 years, and it was such a fun experience. Like, I had so much fun. I gave into capitalism and bought like clothes for like my husband and I, but it was really fun. I got Chipotle, so it was a good day, you know. Yeah, good day, good week. My semester is almost ending for spring. Starting my new job on Monday. Like, super pumped for that. Yeah, overall good week. What about you?
Okay. Well, we're gonna actually have a switched up thing between last week because my week was okay. And nothing really much.
Okay.
The other day I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning playing
Same.
Civilization 6. It's a video game where you're like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but somehow I'm interested.
Explain
in
it in one word. One word.
War.
Great.
Yeah.
All I needed to know.
Yeah.
War.
Yeah. You basically like create empires and you like build them up using like policies and like sometimes you can have you can choose to make them have like religion and
Okay.
yeah, you
Interesting.
can and you start from like the old ages, like ancient age, so you have to start
Oh,
like
God.
with
Okay.
basic weapons and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those like tactics games, which again, I used to hate when I was younger, and I played it again because I just thought it sounded really nice. That just the thought that like, oh hey, I can, command people to
Yeah.
create
I'm
cities
God
and
now.
things like
Bye.
that. Yeah. and yeah,
What?
I think I really like it. I mean, I played it only twice so far, and one time with my roommate who loves playing it, and then the other time was just me learning. And yeah,
I like
it
that.
was a fun time.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, I got a lot of music work done, but most of it's been just like drum practice. I actually updated my Instagram for the first time in forever, Frozen.
Good.
And then I also did my Twitter. Again, my Twitter is like getting better. I'm actually speaking more about like in it. Still trying not to like
Yay,
put any
I like
opinions out
that.
there because we know how that goes. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, I just say like random stuff. I think one of my
interesting.
tweets one day, because I didn't have a tweet, was just boop.
Oh,
So.
Alex, you're like low-key a grandpa. Like, Twitter, though, not your sphere. Don't focus on it. Just
Well,
focus
okay,
on Instagram,
but that-
TikTok, YouTube.
That was just that I didn't have any content. After that, like I think I have some banger tweets or some tweets
Oh,
that
God.
show my possibility of future being a banger. Like
You're
So,
giving me a headache because, like, Alex, just disregard Twitter, man. Just focus on Instagram and, like,
dude,
TikTok
Twitter's
and
so much
YouTube.
better than Instagram. I don't even understand
What
Instagram.
the hell?
I don't even
No, it
understand
is not.
I don't give a fuck what your fucking puppy looks like. I don't.
Instagram is not for what your fucking puppy looks like anymore. It's about promotion, building a weird community around you that doesn't really know you. You do so much better on fucking Instagram than Twitter. Like, you're not a politician trying to, like, get votes or, like, upset the right or left. You're just trying to make beats for everyone to enjoy. So, like, that's why you should focus on Instagram, not Twitter.
Yeah, but Twitter is just so understandable. Instagram is just so, hey,
Alex.
here's a picture. Cause the way that you like create stuff is by constantly creating media. Basically, I guess the reason why I think that Twitter is a little bit more important, and I guess I'm being a little bit exaggerative when I say fuck Instagram, or rather like Twitter's better. But when it comes to Twitter, the way that you just basically you speak things and you're able to put media and you're able to just put text sometimes. With Instagram, you always have to have some form of media to post. And personally, I'm not the type of person to post some bullshit because, like, oh, I don't have anything to post, so I'll just post like a picture.
It's not bullshit. You have to.
Well, yeah, I
like,
don't.
cultivate
I'm saying
it.
that I don't want to make bullshit. I don't want to post bullshit. So everything that I do post has to be worked on by me, and so like that takes a while, and so that's very hard. Whereas again, Twitter is just here's what I think. Or,
Okay, but like nobody's going on Twitter to listen to beats. Like, you go on Twitter to read dumb shit or look at memes.
And let's also be fair that I don't make beats. It's music.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I make a lot of
Okay.
EDM and house music.
I know. Okay, look.
So it's not
but
just
Alex,
beats. But I agree with you.
I'm sorry. I offended you with beats.
I do beats though.
Okay, but look, Alex. Twitter is for fucking reading or looking at quick memes. Instagram, you could do a short video. Like, I see now your little Instagrams popping on our Let's Effing Chat Instagram, where we keep the conversation rolling. So follow us, because I do take time to at least post. Follow
Yeah,
us,
she
bitches.
does
But,
really well. Go for it.
Thank you. But yes, like, Instagram, man, you can, like, as I've seen your little clips, like, you can actually, like, let people hear the sound. You can post on the stories, like, the sound and be like, turn the sound up. It's more like engaging. It's more like, what's the word, like, it's like eye porn basically, and like also very sound driven. So like that's why I'm saying, like, ditch Twitter, because if you do put like your thing on Twitter, like, nobody's on there to listen to music. I'm sorry, I feel like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But Instagram, like I said, it's very like eyes, ears driven. So like you'd get more if you work it enough. Like, you can get something out of Instagram over Twitter. That's just my thing.
I completely agree with you. But the thing that I guess Twitter, I guess Instagram is kind of because I think it's more eye driven than it is ear driven, and I don't like really think about, like, when I'm going through a lot of people's like Instagrams or whatever, like a lot of it's just like pictures, again, like promotions, like you said, but none of them is really like music, really. Like, the musicians that do post there is just like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm doing this thing, and they might like add like a clip in the background, but there's always something good, cool to look at. So if I wanted to post there, I have to create something every single time to look at, and that's very, very time expensive.
It is, yes, it is time consuming.
Time consuming, that's the word. Time expensive.
You have to prioritize that in your sea of things. So overall, one word that you would sum your week up with. Go.
War.
Love that. I don't think I would say war. I would say, for me, it would be a awakening. Yeah.
Awakening. Okay.
Yes.
That sounds like a chapter in a book. Awakening.
Basically, it is. When you leave a job, you're like closing one chapter, and I had an awakening at this
That's
old
fair.
job, and now I like, God has risen on Easter, bitch. I have risen. So.
And fairly, you are starting a new chapter in your life because of this new job.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So. Yeah, Warren awakening. Love that for us. So.
I'm really liking Civ. It's a really fun game, actually.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. I might tell stories in future episodes. just like very, very small, like 5-minute stories. Because sometimes,
Okay.
the story that I have this time, it's like very, very short, just short story.
Alex,
which is just.
I will give you 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes.
To tell
It's very
this story
short.
about this video game. Okay, go.
All that I have to say was, so I spawned next to Brazil, and they said, "Hey, let's be friends. Let's open our borders to each other," and I did so, and then they started a war with me, and honestly, that's kind of fucked up, Brazil. Why would you do that? That's the end of my story.
Love it. Okay, that was good.
Yeah, short
Good story.
exactly.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna go on for like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
but
that's normal, but I try to switch things
was a
up
good
bit.
story. Love it. Love that for you, man. Love that. Oh, also this week Taylor Swift released her new album that she re-recorded, like her most famous songs are like out of the vault. So I'm wearing this like Taylor Swift sweatshirt that I paid way too much money for, but you know.
Interesting.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Let's move on to the topic of the week, which was the infamous question about fucking drugs.
What was drugs?
Like,
is that a question? Drugs?
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 Question
mark?
mark? Literally. Drugs? Question mark. I'm gonna go ahead and just ask you first, Alex. Like, what was the first drug that you ever dabbled in? You know?
Yeah. Again, we're talking about like I guess illicit drugs, or is it
just.
Is that the word for it? Because technically, like the first drug that I've probably taken was like Tylenol or something like that. But we're talking about a little bit more drugs.
Yeah, more like getting your mind stimulated, not like I'm curing a sore throat or Benadryl, which I have a thing about. But
what drug have I taken for the purpose of recreation?
Yes.
Okay. What drug? Yeah. So so the first one that I've taken is weed. I've smoked before. That was the very first drug that I've ever taken. I didn't even I never drank before I smoked. I smoked first. That was
wow.
Yep, I smoked at
Same
school
though.
first. And that was a really bad idea.
Oh God.
But yeah, it would be weed. It would be weed. That is the very first one that I've ever tried, and I actually did not like it at the very beginning, because it felt like being in the back of my mind, and I didn't like being in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
So I hated it, and now I actually very much so enjoy it from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like, the first thing I've ever done to, like, fuck up my body was literally smoke weed over drinking. So, I feel like when you're younger, like, that's the most, like, accessible thing to do is literally drugs. Because alcohol, like, you have to be 21 to get it. But, like, weed, anyone can get it. And I guess my next question is, like, what was your experience when you puffed the good old Mary J? Like, what happened?
The very first time. Oh yeah, so
yeah.
It was because I think it was my senior year of high school. I'm pretty sure. And I always was friends with the potheads. I don't know why, but I've always been friends with potheads. Even because before I even wanted to try weed, which was my that day. I was very reluctant. I was just like, I don't want to try weed. I'm not really interested in it. I didn't dislike it, and I didn't dislike people for using it, because again, I used to be friends with potheads. But I was just like, I don't really need to try it at all. And then what happened was I was just hanging out with my friends, and it was coming to the end of the year, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I've never tried this thing. And
now's my chance.
It kind of started a larger kind of, I guess you could say, chapter in my life, or idea in my life, which was, I really hate coming to conclusions about things that I know that I've never experienced, especially things that to experience them will not kill me or hurt me. So I thought about it, and I was like, I've never tried this, and I keep saying that I don't want to, but how do I know? And it's not going to hurt me if I try, so why not?
True.
So yeah, I was hanging out with my friends, and they were like, "Oh, we're about to go smoke behind the campus or whatever," and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Let me try."
Count me in.
Yeah, count me in. And they were like, "What? You?" And I'm like,
"Yeah." Yeah, man. I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, and it was insane. It was a very interesting time, because there was I guess you could say,
Nice.
3 major portions of the day. The first was like it starting. I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't know if I was high or not. I actually started huffing on it a lot, because that's what you do when you're the first time you smoke weed, is that you.
That's true.
Yeah, you never know how, if you're taking in too much. You're just like, okay, let's try it again. Okay, let's try it
You
again.
puff, puff, puff.
So yeah, I kept puffing on
yeah.
it, and then after a while they were just like, yeah, dude, just chill, just wait. I was like, okay, and so like I started like looking off into the distance, and then I noticed that that colors were a little bit more vibrant, and it's funny enough.
Oh my God.
That's not really a weed thing. Like weed doesn't change your like visual perception much, like psychedelics do. It is considered a psychedelic, but it's more in your thought space than it is your visuals. But because I was high, I was just interested in colors more. So I was like, oh, that's the greens and the blues are really popping out right now. And then like the bell rang to switch lunches. Now, something to note is that in high school I never went to class. I was in the top percentile of my school, but I never went to class because I hated going to specific classes. So I'd always like skip, go to other classes and stuff like that. So I'm almost never in the right class or in the right place, right? So I usually go to several lunches. So
God.
yeah. So basically the first lunch was over, and we had to go back inside, but I was high as shit, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go inside because then the teachers are gonna find me.
Yeah.
But then they were like, no, we just have to go, and I was like, okay. And then we walked past the cafeteria, and then the security guard like stopped us because we were trying to go into the cafeteria because we didn't know that it was the end of the lunch. Like we just kind of knew that we had to go back to class. So he stopped us, and he was like, hey, what are you doing? And then both of my friends who were with me just darted off. And so I luckily think a lot more than they do. So I thought about it, and I was like, darting off is probably not the idea. Like, they're probably not the thing to do here. Like, that's going to make us seem even more suspicious. So I stayed, and I kind of looked at him, and then like he was like, why are you here? And I was really high. I was just like, and I was staring at him, and his face was so bulgy, and I was like, what? And I was lucky enough to be able to like go through. I had like a word bank in my head, and I was just like trying to grab whatever words possible to form a sentence and to form a coherent idea.
Funny.
And so luckily I remembered that because we were towards the end of the year, everybody was testing, and so some testing was in the middle of like lunches and stuff like that. So some people would come out a little bit late of testing, and so I was like, oh. And so then I was like, hey, we're coming back from testing, and like we come to lunch, but we didn't know the lunch was ending. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, all right. And then I just walked off, and I was like, oh.
You're like deeply breathing in the corner, like, I'm gonna pass the fuck out. Thank you so much for believing this.
It was like on the outside, I was like, oh yeah, we're just coming out of classes and we don't know. And so I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So that was the second part, and then the third was and then I ended up getting a headache, and it's like kind of laid down in my robotics classroom, and
nice.
I was just hating it. Then I just had a headache, and I was just like, everything's bad. Fuck this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it, but
dry.
Yeah, but I could understand why people were interested in it. I understood that part. Also, I kept feeling like my head, like I kept having a tick, where like my head, like air was blowing me weird, so I kept like I would like randomly like kind of twitch my head because I'm like, oh
my god.
and that was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So how about you? What was your first drug of choice, or did we already answer that? I don't remember.
Yeah, we both said weed, so yeah, definitely
what
weed
was
for me.
experience?
I remember. Okay, so I had this girl. She was sleeping over, and like we were like best friends in church, and I was raised in a Baptist church. And so she was like, hey, I know somebody that has weed. And I was like, weed? Okay, let's fucking do it. And I got kind of nervous, and then I just remember like we went in like my back patio, and it was like a screened-in pool, and there we are, just like smoking a little joint. I just remember coughing so fucking much. Like I thought I was going to die at all the coughing I did, and I honestly did not feel high. I remember her being like, "I'm so high right now," and now that I look back at it, I was like, "Were we really high? Like, were we even smoking weed? Like, we could have been smoking like."
Yeah.
I don't even know, like dirt, like rosemary crushed up, like who knows really what you're smoking unless you actually know the person and like roll that joint up yourself. But yeah, so that was my first experience. Nothing like yours. Mine was like low key mellow, but I felt like so much guilt. And then I remember like a few weeks later, I went to like, this is so dumb. I went to like a fucking church camp, and I remember the youth pastor was like, "Okay, guys, like, tell God all your sins, basically. Like, tell him all the dumb shit you've done." And it was like an outside, like, and yeah, I was in high school, like sophomore to junior. I think more sophomore, but like, anyways, the church camp thing was like outside vibes. I remember I was in like a covered like basketball court, and I remember literally crying to myself, being like, "I just smoked weed. I smoked a blunt." And this girl that I was like pushing away out of my own friend circle, whatever, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, literally crying, "Alex, this is so sad." I was literally like, "I just smoked weed and I feel so guilty about it. Like, God hates me. I'm a sinner." And she's like, "It's okay, it's okay." And looking back at this, I'm like, why did I let religion tell me or like brainwash my whole brain into thinking like smoking this fake ass joint was so bad? But yeah, that's just my first story. I didn't even get high. I just remember just coughing really bad and like being like, "This fucking sucks." But yeah, mine was definitely like weed, because I feel like it's just so much more like accessible to the younger 18 and under crowd. So
Probably, yeah. It's basically because it's not regulated. I mean, well, it's because it's in a way, I guess you could say, is it overregulated? Basically, because it's so like banned, right? Then like the only way for you to get it is through like non like store routes, right? So you can't age gap a non-store route. Yeah. So yeah, it's more available because people decided, rather than figuring out like what this thing is, what this drug is, and what you could use to like what you can use it for, and if it's actually dangerous and all that stuff. Instead, they decided to just ban it outright and force people who've tried it or had it on them to be locked away in jail.
Oh, yeah,
just because they had some stuff. I hate that idea. Again, I'm the type of person who likes to try stuff as long as it doesn't kill me or hurt me. But I always like to try stuff before I make some judgment on it. So if I were someone who had the abilities to, I would absolutely like try it, put myself in a very safe place, and see again and be like, "Oh, okay, it's not that bad." Maybe you don't like the feeling of it, but yeah.
That's like the one thing I cannot do. Like, I know I like discorded you about this, but like, yeah, I had like a THC edible, and it was like, it's a Nerds rope, and I took like one small bite. But then again, I remember like the first time I did it, I paired it with like alcohol, which is really bad. Like, that's just two things you should never mix. And I just remember like feeling like I was going to die, and it was like during football, like NFL season, and just looking at my husband and being like, what if this is like legit and altered? I'm in like a different universe, and like if I die, like what is gonna happen to him? Like, I need to like stay calm. And just I remember I was like on our couch like looking at the fucking like ceiling vent, because I was like, that's the only thing that's gonna like keep my mind sane. And my brain, Alex, it was literally spinning. Like the ceiling vent thing, it was fucking spinning. And I remember I threw up like 3 times, and even after I threw up, I still felt fucking high. And even when I went to bed after like 5 hours or whatever, like I was still high, and I absolutely hated it. So Yeah, I'm definitely learning that like THC edibles are fucking terrible for my body, and I cannot do that like
Yeah.
at all. Even with my sister, like I did like some of the edible with her, and my husband wasn't here, and it was like the day after Thanksgiving, and my my heart was racing. Like I wore my Apple Watch because I've just done that every single time I've like had the edible, just to see how like bad my heart rate gets. And I remember looking at my Apple Watch like the next day and being like, my heart rate was like off the charts. And when we finally went to bed at 4 a.m., I woke up at 7 a.m. till our dog's out. I had the worst headache I have ever had. Like I literally had to go back to bed and then like literally be like 3 hours later, hey mom, I'm in my life. But like that headache was seriously so bad. I remember just like pacing around my living room because like my heart rate would not stop and I could just feel it. But I was like telling myself like I need to calm down because I cannot actually like wake my mom up and be like, hi, I just took like a small thing of edibles, but because I'm so malnourished, like I didn't realize how bad this would be and like I need to go somewhere. And I was also like, my husband wasn't here, but like I like literally need him, and I was like, I need to FaceTime him, but it's like fucking like midnight there and I know he's asleep. And I was like, it was so bad. Like I just learned my lesson. Like fucking edibles, like those THC edibles are so bad. But like I've had edibles in Oregon when we visited for a trip, and like I had some from like a dispensary and they were so good. Like they tasted good. I didn't feel like how I felt with these edibles. So I just feel like THC, man, it's a wild ride that you have to take very small, and I even took really small bites too. It's not even like I like
why
it was crazy.
You are so into edibles. Like it's just not the route, especially if you're not.
I know,
like, a big
it's not the vibe.
user. I edibles are an entirely different tier of experiencing weed.
Yeah.
Like smoking
it's so
is way more chill.
It is though.
Like if you eat an edible, like if you smoke, it's like you can smoke and hang out. But if you take an edible, that's a day. Like you're gonna have a time.
Like I know, but like my thing is like one time we went to Michigan, and I ate half of a gummy bear edible, and then my husband's friend ate the other half, and I was fine. But then again, I was like really tired from all like the traveling we did, but I was fine. Like I could like stand up. I wasn't like, my heart rate wasn't like freaking out. I just remember my mouth was super dry and I was just tired from all the traveling. So I don't know, like these THC edibles, bitch, these are not a joke. Like I will probably never take them again. And I've even I've had them sober, like completely like no alcohol. And I remember I was watching Dexter and my husband was away. Dude, I thought in the middle of watching Dexter, which is probably a dumb idea, and I had like our bedroom door cracked open to see the kitchen, I was like, what if this reality is another reality and they're actually watching me? And what if I'm like, or what if I'm witnessing a real murder? And I ended up calling my sister because I was like, I need to talk to somebody right now. And I like started crying because I was like literally just freaking out over like nothing. So my lesson learned after like this THC edible, like I will never eat that shit ever again. I'm just thinking my sister the other half. I don't know why I was being such a bitch to her, because like, bitch, I cannot handle that. Like they're way too much. But yeah, I'm gonna like digress on the edibles. But I also too was on TikTok yesterday, which is like the worst media ever because like it's just a dark hole. But I found this girl that was like, these are natural things you can smoke. So in my drunken state, I bought like fucking melon. I don't remember what it is, but it's something with an M. Lavender and like spearmint, and you can just like roll it up in a paper and just like smoke that. And I just want to try it because like I think it'd be kind of cool as opposed to like weed. So
so I've had stuff to smoke like that, but I had never done it. Like I bought it because we have a vape shop down the street, and they sell the different herbs. Like they sell like lavender and different things like
natural
that.
herbs.
And they do a lot of like different things to your body, like positive things a lot of the times. Like I think lavender is supposed to help with like anxiety and like and I think it's like digestion and some shit. So there's a thing there. I've just never tried it in my entire life, and honestly, I don't really know if I want to.
I'm just excited to try something new. So like, whenever I get these herbs, I'll like roll a fat joint and just
just a fat lavender joint.
Exactly, a nice natural, non-recreational, natural drug to help my digestion.
I think that's
whatever.
Specifically recreational though.
Oh, is it? Even if it's like natural?
Well, recreation just means that it's like you're doing it for fun.
Oh, for fun.
Yeah.
Oh, fine. I'll roll up my beautiful, natural, recreational joints in my back patio and just heal my body from within.
Well, yeah, there is what was it? You can also do CBD as well. CBD is also something that you can vape and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a big like vapor, but like then again I'm like, as I get older, like I can't do drugs. Like I just can't. My mind's like not equipped for that anymore. Like
really, I actually think that I think kind of differently. I think the complete opposite. Like as you get older, I think that's more of a reason or more of a time that you're more likely to be okay with drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I think that edible just fucked me up. Like
yeah, it did. Stop fucking
it
with
literally
edibles.
fucked my. It gave me more anxiety about drugs. But like then again, like before, like I've like obviously smoked like a blunt or like out of the glass thing, and I've been fine. But it's just like even then, it's like I already know my limits. Like I would honestly never do like mushrooms, even if it was microdosing, because it's like my brain. I just get like too inside of my head. And then it's like I can't, if I don't have control over my brain, like I just like I get too freaked out, you know, like I need control over like my brain.
With shrooms, I think that's a pretty interesting concern. I'm not interesting, but I think that's a valid concern. But with LSD actually, you never really the difference is that you never feel like, especially microdosing. I'm specifically talking about microdosing. But you don't feel like you're not using your brain. In fact, you feel like you're using your brain even more. That like the things that like that you understand, like you start to understand things a little bit more. Especially like sound, like music and stuff sound like way better and stuff like that. And depending on the amount that you microdose, you can literally just have like enough to just say, oh, my ears are cool, so music sounds much better. And then you can do a little bit more, and then you can have like, oh, I'm actually seeing cool shapes and stuff like that, and stuff like that.
I don't know if I'd like that.
But it's not. So when you're microdosing, it's never like the cartoons where like everything changes colors and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's more like you know how when you go into the ocean, right? And then the ocean like washes up from your feet, and then you look down, and then as the water's going down, you kind of feel like you're like moving forward, or like the movement of the sand is like very very strange.
You're swaying.
Yeah, you're very swaying, even though you're standing completely still. Because you're seeing the water move down, it's like it kind of makes your brain think that like, oh wait, so I might be moving or something like that. So it doesn't make you feel like you're moving, but it's that same kind of idea that like you look at things and it's not like any like weird. It doesn't change like the color or anything like that. It just kind of like when you look down at something, it's just like, oh wow, like like I think the best way to think about it is wood. You know how wood has lines that like go in a specific direction? Yeah. So if you microdose, when you look at it, you might see like those kind of lines follow the same direction, but very slowly, very subtly. Yeah. So it's never like
you're on. I was gonna say, so it's like you're in like slow motion almost.
It's like everything, more like everything has to move, but it doesn't have to move that much. So like. Yeah, so it's very subtle. Like so you're never scared. You're never gonna like, especially on microdosing, you're never gonna like see something that doesn't exist or anything like that. You're only going to look at patterns, and the patterns just become what your brain kind of thinks of it like. So again, when the lines, your brain thinks of it as moving lines. So it's like the lines start to just kind of move. On like if you look at a bathroom like a marble. Like the marbles might just jitter a little bit, like not jitter, but like start like flowing like water, and stuff like that. It's not at all like scary or or intimidating, because like you never have to worry about that type of stuff. And I also, yeah, you just, again, music just sounds way different. But when I would just not recommend you to actually take a tab. That's something that I think that's what I think that you're actually afraid of, is taking a tab and not microdosing. Microdosing is so much like less than that, but tabs that's an experience. I
feel like I'd literally go to I'd be probably in the ER. I'd be like, please take me to the hospital.
You would probably call the
cops. Fucking die.
Yeah. And especially with like how, like, I'm assuming that you probably get a lot more absorption, or the absorption that like your body does to you is probably going to be a lot more than mine, because again I weigh a lot more than you now, especially now because I'm eating more, but because of the absorption, you might feel a lot more of the kind of the tab than I would have, or rather like so I know
body
that like
weight.
250 was to the point at which I kind of like locked myself in my room, because I was just like,
oh my god,
I wasn't but it wasn't like I was afraid or anything, like, so it wasn't like fear. It was through just like, so whenever I tell people like, oh, if you ever like to take a drug, one, take it with somebody you know, take it with somebody you trust. And also, depending on the amount that you take, if you're taking a tab, try to get a trip sitter of somebody you know and somebody you trust. And also, make sure to take it somewhere that you feel absolutely safe, especially the first time you take a drug. The very first time, you should always test it, like at your house that you've lived in forever, or like at like a friend's house that you've grew up in and stuff like that. Because the thing is that LSD and different psychedelics, they take advantage of like the mysteries in your brain. So any mysterious things, your brain has to explain it. But like, so normally, like if it's some place that you're actually like 100% about, the only mysterious things are the things that you decide to look at, like through your phone or something like that. So you're able to know that they're different. But if it's somewhere that you have no clue where you are, then everything starts to become so
then your
different.
brain's like,
oh, what is that?
Your brain's overloaded.
Yeah, what's that sound? What's that? Like, somebody knocked on the door. Who is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why
I like that.
For the past, like, I think every single time that I took a Tinder date home, I introduced them to microdosing, but not on that day. I'd always say, like, oh, specifically if we hang out more than one day, of course. But I always say, okay, I'm gonna let you stay in my house and hang out as long as you like, at least like 3 or 4 days, like, or 3 or 4 weeks. That way, you know every single place in my house, and you should be completely comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, for any reason, then I would not recommend it, and I'm not going to give you anything. But as long as you stay here and you just kind of hang out and you're like, oh wow,
they get used to the space.
Yeah, you get used to the space. So now then you can, like, you start to trust me, because again we've been like talking for a longer time, and you start trusting the place, and then that way they can actually take the load off of trying to understand what's around them, and just try to understand the things that, like, I particularly like point out. Like, sometimes I think with the first person that I ever taught, that I ever like introduced it to. There it is. Yeah, introduce that to. That was Tinder. That was in Tinder. Okay. The first Tinder date that I've introduced drugs to. Okay. There it is. Good.
Alrighty.
We ended up like looking up at my fan, and like I had my my lights are LCD. LED. They're LED, and they're able to change colors. So I turned them on, and I let us look at the fan, and everything just looked very like spectral. Like, it kind of looked like we were kind of looking up at space, but we knew it was a wall, but it just kind of looked like space. It was all movie and flowy and stuff. The fan was still, but we kind of saw it still kind of like move just a tiny bit, kind of flow. And she enjoyed it, and yeah.
Huh. That's pretty good. I think you like explained microdosing really well, because like in my just opinion, before we had this little conversation, I just thought of it as like everything would be like just moving, even microdosing, like everything would be moving and swaying, and like my brain would be like, what the fuck is going on? But I like that's like if you microdose safely and like you follow your 3 steps, which are really good too, like take it with someone you trust in a very safe space and just have a companion with you. It's like, okay, things will just like slowly move, like
exactly. They're
a
very
slow
very
move.
slow. That's why sometimes I will like well, okay, so there's a couple of things. One, so again, microdosing, you can take as little as you want. So some people, and I wouldn't recommend it just because I have a rule against operating anything like a vehicle or anything with any type of drug in my body.
Yeah, no.
That I use
Do
for
not,
occasion.
ever.
I don't even drive while I'm high. Like I will specifically say I will not drive, but I know that I can, but I'm not. I don't like that.
Hell
I don't like
no.
that idea. But some people, what they do is that they will microdose, and they'll like take like a very small amount and use it as like an upper for the day. And so they'll go throughout their day, and again, because it's not at all like super changing your like the life or anything like that. It can like just make you a little bit more happy. It can make you like it can make your experience and some things will just a little bit more enjoyable sometimes. But yeah, people do that, and they take a very, very small amount, so it doesn't affect them as much. It's just like a normal yeah.
It's like an Advil.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like an Advil that makes you that makes colors look really, really pretty and music sound really, really great.
Interesting.
I've always wanted to get like high and like listen to my music and just get that same feeling as I felt when I've listened to something with my in blank with the diamond. Oh crap! What was the name of that song?
What?
Lucy in the Eye with a Diamond or something like that.
Lucy in the Sky?
Yeah, I think Lucy in the Sky like a diamond.
What?
I don't remember what the name of it is.
What the hell are you talking about, dude?
Do you know at least what like the song that I'm trying to?
Hell no.
Lucy in the Sky like a diamond.
God.
I don't think that's a thing.
You're killing me.
Oh no, it's literally Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh,
it's by I keep forgetting their name. Oh no, I'm dumb. It's the Beatles. So I listened to to that for the first time, and it was just great.
Good.
Like you just hear, you just understand the moving, the wiggling.
You got this song.
Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, I would totally recommend. I would totally recommend to like just hang out with somebody and try microdosing, especially someone who you trust and all that. But I think it's an interesting experience, and I think it will help a lot of people's ideals or understanding of what like these drugs are. Because I know that a lot of people are very, very afraid of them and are very like, oh, like it makes you crazy or it makes you like, run throughout the halls and stuff like that. But for the most part, like if you take enough, just like of any drug ever, if you take the proper amount, like you're never going to like freak out like that. I think the most that I've ever freaked out was like I was just like because I took 250 micrograms, which is 4 or 5 times what I would microdose like normally. So yeah, I took it. That was a tab, and so I took a tab, and I was just kind of like sounds. You know how when in music you have you have like panned audio. So sometimes in songs they'll have like some things that are supposed to sound really interesting on your left side of the ear, but your right side can't hear. And it's supposed to like add more space to it. Well, when I heard that, I was hearing like knocking and stuff because there's a song, I forgot what it's called, but it's like that.
Hell no.
It's about the guy who took heroin and an overdose. I forgot what that song name was, but I heard that and I was like, oh, I don't like it. So then all I did was I just closed my door in my room and I was like, all right, and then I watched anime.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about like again about like being somewhere that is that I could just turn it off. Like I was like, I don't like that. I don't know what it is. That's weird. I turned it off and now I'm happy.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I don't think it's very hard unless you're the type of person. Again, if you take a tab, if you're the type of person to like be the person to call the cops, your friends, which I think you absolutely are, then I think there's a chance that a tab for somebody who they wouldn't do that, it might be a little bit too much for you.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll stick to like actually smoking a blunt, not fucking THC edibles. Like, fuck no. But I really like how you put like LSD and like microdosing.
Yeah, microdosing.
Because I feel like too, people like forget that's an option. Like, you do not have to take a full tab. You can microdose.
If you guys want a drug a lesson, a chemistry lesson, test your fucking drugs. I test every single thing that I've ever tried. Everything that I've ever tried has been tested and has came back positive for being good, negative for having bad trace elements in it and stuff like that. Always test it. You can find test kits online. They will actually send it to you. It's not illegal to buy test kits. So if you happen to have the drugs, then just buy the test kits and test your drugs, because you
Nice.
need to make sure that what you are taking is good and safe.
That is true.
And that's a problem with the with the government, because technically, if the government was more like understanding of this type of stuff, they would have controlled like you can say dispensaries, right? Like freaking alcohol. Alcohol is so dangerous, way more dangerous than weed. Being high versus being drunk, I would say being drunk is way more dangerous, and it causes people to do way more stupid shit. Being fucking high just makes you do nothing. It makes you very lazy in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
you
does.
become a potato, but
Yeah.
like people drink and drive and kill people all the time. So
yeah, like and also drinking can make people who aren't normally angrier, or who can lash out, or people who have anger problems lash out a lot easier. It's just way worse. So if the government actually took it like at least anywhere near like alcohol, then you would be able to get the right amount and make sure that the thing that
And
you're
it be
drinking
safe.
is safe and stuff like that. But they don't want to do that because they just want to say fuck you if you want to try something different.
That's true though, which is pretty crazy. And even with like the whole like weed dispensary thing, it's like if you like broaden out to even like fucking heroin or like cocaine, like you said, drugs, yes, they're cool, but you have to make sure the drug you're taking is safe and they're not lacing with like bug repellent or like cow shit, or I don't even know. It's like, you know,
If
just
you
they're not
can't
lacing it.
If you can't test it, don't touch it. It's that simple. I will never ever just take drugs from anybody at a party that I don't know. I will never take drugs from somebody that I don't know, and I'll never take drugs that somebody gave me and they said I have not tested this. Like I need to both know that the drug has been tested and that it's from somebody who I trust. I mean, to be fair, as long as you test it, if you're able to test it, then it doesn't really matter who gives it to you, because you can test it and make sure that everything's okay. But you understand. Either test it or make sure or make sure that it's coming from somebody who you absolutely trust.
Yes, I feel like that's a key to drug use overall. It's like not only trusting somebody else, but also just like trusting your own mind, body, and spirit, and knowing like the limitations that you can push yourself to. Which is why, again, like I feel like microdosing is a good option, because you're not taking full tap. You can take small little bits. Just like if you're eating cake, you're not eating the whole cake. You're eating one small slice of the cake.
And so you don't have to experience being full if you don't eat a lot of the cake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that. Oh, yeah. We go from marijuana to LSD.
Oh yeah, and then I've also tried something called TCB, which it's a very interesting one. It's very similar. They consider it the beginner's psychedelic, because it doesn't. It's almost like you're microdosing when you do TCB. It's very, very like when you're high on it. It's very chill. Again, this, music sounds really good. You're really happy. All of that. It does a lot of the good stuff that you like in LSD. It also doesn't give you this kind of body feeling that LSD gives you. It kind of like 2CB actually feels better when you're high, but it has one really, really big flaw, which is the reason why I don't use it, which is that it makes you extremely nauseous for the first 30 minutes.
Oof.
Yep. It makes you like,
Yikes.
it makes you genuinely like, I don't want to throw up, so I'm going to stand here. Like, it does that. And technically, shrooms are supposed to do that too, but not as bad. They make you feel kind of queasy. But with 2CB, your mouth is watering. Like, no, we're about to puke. But you won't puke.
I'm gonna throw up.
You're just gonna feel like you're gonna throw up. And
Ew.
yeah,
That sucks. Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah. It's horrible. I specifically hate feeling queasy, so it's really, really bad. But the euphoria that you get afterwards, a lot of the times it's worth it. But you just have to know that you're gonna have to deal with it.
Eesh.
Yeah. Euphoria is a very
maybe
important
also
word in psychedelics. What's up?
I would also say too, like, look up maybe like the pre-side effects to a new drug you're maybe taking, or ask your friends, because TCB, who I honestly I didn't know it was a drug, but it's like, damn, if let's say like we were at a party and you said, hey, I tested this weird new drug, and I was like, okay, but then I was like, wait, holy fuck, like, why do I feel like I'm just gonna throw up now? Yeah. And you're like, that's a side effect, and I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, I guess let's okay, there's a stipulation to the previous if you can't test it, don't touch it. If you don't know what it is, don't touch it. Even if it's tested. Though. If you get like all the reports back and it's like, oh, here's this random shit, but it's been tested, it's for sure.
Question mark.
Don't take it. Because again, we don't like
that.
The best thing to walk away from when you're or to steer away from when you're taking psychedelics is mystery. You don't want mystery. So any mystery that exists is like you wanna make sure to figure that out before you take any drug, because like just like you understand, you're going to be thinking about that, and when you're on like psychedelics, you're kind of like thinking a lot about everything, and that just leads to paranoia and a bad trip, and then like you never want to do it again. I like that. Like if it's a mystery, just don't fucking do it, because it could lead to something really bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, especially when you don't know what it does. That's the scariest moment, because you don't know when it's going to end. You don't like that's
true.
That's an important concept, is understanding when they end, how long they take. So usually if you take a tab, it lasts around of LSD. It lasts around 12 hours. So it's like LSD is a day that you have to put out. You have to schedule it and all that, like taking tabs. Microdosing is very similar. It's a lot. It takes less time, so around like 8 hours, stuff like that, just because like you're taking a little bit less of it. But I still consider it a day, because it can last up to 12 hours and stuff like that, just like anything else. 2CB lasts for 6 hours. Shrooms last, I think, for also 6 hours. And weed lasts for about 3. Yeah, I don't know how long weed usually lasts. But 2CB, not 2CB. Delta lasts for an hour. I like Delta.
Nice.
1 hour is good. I like being able to just like schedule out an hour to just chill.
There you go. And I think I definitely scheduled an hour and 55 minutes for the movie that we watched, Concrete Cowboy, and should we get into that?
Fun segue. That was not subtle at all, or that was as subtle as possible. I'm being sarcastic. That was not subtle.
Fuck you.
Let's talk about Concrete Cowboy.
I tried. Okay, I tried.
Yeah. That was very interesting.
Fuck off.
Also, I thought we're supposed to have a sign for that.
Okay, but I thought I wanted to do a fun little segue. Just, smoothly go into something new. Okay, thank you. I tried, Alex. I tried. I don't see you coming with fucking segues.
We have dozens more of episodes. You'll get better.
Oh, thank you. I'll try. Okay, let's move on now to the Concrete Cowboy on Netflix. So, you picked this movie. Why the fuck did you pick this movie?
I picked the movie because I saw the main character of the movie, and he was from Stranger Things, and I was like, I know this person. And again, I do have something called being African American. So sometimes movies that look like they're
Oh,
going
I thought
to
you
talk
were
about
white.
yeah, no, I thought I was white too. No, but I thought it looks like it had something to do with it, like kind of that kind of idea. And I always like to watch movies like that, just so that I can kind of see different perspectives and different ways that people can express these ideas, and sometimes ideas that I never knew about. So yeah, I looked at that and I was like, this looks cool. It's it's like
Yeah.
it's a movie, and why not? Let's see it. So that's exactly the reason why.
Nice. That's a good reason.
So yeah, that's because I brought it up, because it was my turn with the movie. It's also my turn for the questions. And
great.
what's that for?
Nothing.
I guess so. Let's do. I think we normally do all the specific questions, and then we do the overall ideas of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite part?
Oh, wow. My favorite part of this movie was, I think it was honestly the beginning scene when you see the mom and Cole get into the fight, and then he wakes up and he's like, holy crap, I'm literally at my dad's house. And she's like, feels so bad because like she has to leave him, but she knows she has to do it for him. And I just think that whole like beginning scene, how it introduces him and his relationship with his like mom and dad, and how this is such a different environment. And also like when he finally goes into the house and there's like that fucking horse just like hanging out in the like house, and he's like, oh my goodness. I think that was my favorite part. And when he like ends up sleeping in the stable with Boo, and they realize, oh my god, he has a connection with him. I think that was my favorite, because like the horse and him are both the same, very wild, but yet they can somehow be tamed by themselves or like somebody else. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, my favorite part was the end where he stood on his horse.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
At the funeral.
Because it was like, okay,
His funeral.
that was a nice. It was very awkward though. The one thing I'll talk about it later. There's a lot to say about this movie. Do you think that the parenting displayed ever went too far? So the dropping your kid off at their parents, who they don't know who the hell that person is. The father kind of like just being like, yeah, get out if you don't want to be here, like that type of stuff. Do you think that was too far?
I feel like yes, because like as the mother, you think you know the person, but you really don't. And it's also too, as a young like kid, I'm guessing he was like what, in high school or middle school?
Yeah, something
High
like that.
school?
Probably.
It's like, yeah, like you literally don't know who you're living with, and I don't know, he could have like literally just beat his son up, like you don't know. So
Well, to be fair, she knows that he's that he's not that type of person.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the mom knows like who the character, like their character, their personal character is, but like as the child, like you really don't. I personally wouldn't just be like, hey, I'm dropping your son off that you haven't seen in like 10 years or 15 years, so like good luck, whip him into shape. But you don't know. That's the other thing about movies, like they don't ever tell you really the full backstory.
Yeah.
Like we got some of it but not all of it. But yes and no. Like the mom obviously needed it, being a single parent, and like he's literally gotten into so much trouble in so many schools. I feel like this is like her last resort, and this is all she had. This is the last thing she could do to help him, whether he liked it or not. So I think it was like the best parenting that she could do in like her situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that some kids take a little bit different amounts of things that will teach them the lesson that they need to learn. And it seemed like he was this person was very like he was a rowdy guy. He was a rowdy boy. He liked to fight, it seemed, and he didn't have any plan to stop it or anything like that.
Yeah.
The problem that I run into is that it's so interesting. The movie just felt wrong. But I'll talk I'll talk more about it when we get to the.
Okay.
But that's just a lot. Okay. Oh, I just thought it was really. I wrote down. I thought it was really fucking stupid that he took his white jays to work with to work with horses.
That's what I'm saying though.
I'm
too.
like, who would do that?
Yeah.
Like that's the dumbest fucking move in the world.
The fucking white jays shoveled fucking horse shit.
Yeah. And the thing is that, so I think what they were trying to get at was that he didn't know that he was going to be shoveling horse shit. He just thought that he would probably have to like wash them or something like that he can kind of avoid with the shoes. But the thing is that, but you're still working with animals. Why would you bring your white shoes working with any animal?
That's what I'm saying. Or like still wear your fucking gold chain. And like a little like wife like beater shirt, whatever. Just yeah.
They
when you put those
love
shoes
white
on, and
white
he steps
beaters.
into that thing. Well, I don't know what those things are. The white like little tank top thing.
Yeah, they're white beaters. Yeah, tank tops. They're both of them.
Yeah, he was wearing that, and like the little.
They just
like,
love
chain
wearing
was,
those.
like shoveling shit.
Everybody in that movie wore tank tops. I was just like,
well, it's probably hot. And
well, no, it would be cold because they wear something on top of it a lot of the times. Yeah, I don't understand the need for a tank top in. Like it's not
you're
like
shoveling poop. Like you get hot.
Oh, okay. It's like if you want, like if you're, so you wear like the tank top and you wear like a regular shirt, and then when you get too hot, you just take off the regular shirt and it's just to have a tank top and it's just chill.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, I'm okay. I'm actually more okay with that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So then I thought that his when he questioned his father, why do you hate me? I found that to be like I found that to be very important because like sometimes you forget like that you still have some problems that you have to solve with the kid. Like just because this kid's fucked up and that he needs to be taught a lot of lessons, that doesn't mean that you don't have anything that you need to fix as well. And so like that was like that kind of like gleaming moment where it's like, oh, I need to actually tell him that I actually love him and that tell him that like I actually did want to be with him and blah blah blah. Like he completely forgot to tell him that, which he did. He finally did, and they made amends and stuff like that. It seems. Yeah, I just thought that was very interesting, so I wrote that down. Also, he was sweaty just all the fucking time. Well,
they're outside
I
the
know,
whole time.
but he was just like that. He's just always wet. He's just always shiny. Everybody's shiny. I don't know what their problem was, but I was just like, I feel
Alex,
like I just want to see something dry. And they kept putting like water on him and stuff like that, and I'm just like, why do we need this?
Because they're outside shoveling horse shit
I'm
and
like,
just riding their horses.
But sometimes he's like in his house and he's just sweating and it's like, Jesus.
Well, he obviously didn't have AC.
I understand that, but at least dry off before you get in front of the camera.
Shut up. That was the aesthetic they were going for, okay?
Yeah.
Hello, obviously. Sweaty and moist.
Also, I boiled down this movie to everything has a horse analogy.
Well, yeah,
it was so annoying.
Concrete Cowboy.
It was so annoying how they put some horse fact or idea in every lesson. It's like, oh well, you got to take your cowboy boots in the in the rain sometimes. And it's just like, all right, dude, like no one speaks like that.
Oh, Alex. Even just like the first scene when he meets that lady when he gets dropped off and she literally had a horse in the background.
Yeah.
Did you notice that too?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay.
Horses everywhere.
Yeah, there was just horses everywhere, and I would probably also be as like confused. Like I'm just like, what? Where am I?
Aren't I in like Philadelphia? Like Philly? Why are there horses here?
Also, I found it funny when she was just like, when she said like eat slop, and I was just like, what does that even mean? And then like he also said, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, fair.
We both don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one knew, even the character. We've said it at the same time. What does that even mean?
Oh God. Literally same though. Like when she had her whole like spiel and then she was like, I need to wake up early because I'm adding someone else to my prayer list.
Yeah.
I was like, that hits.
This is like, lady, please stop making every sentence that you like that you use like some sort of like puzzle.
Deep analogy.
Yeah, some deep analogy.
Tell me it
puzzle.
straightforward.
Yeah. It's just like
I'm a straight shooter.
She was talking to him like he knew what she was talking about.
Yeah. And he's just like, lady, what are you saying?
Yeah, what are you saying?
What book did you get this out of? Are you okay?
I just found that so hilarious. It's just like it's just like hearing like your old like grandpa just like murmuring, and you're just like, okay, grandpa. I don't know what you just said, but all right.
Sure.
But okay, yeah. So I also found that very hilarious. I didn't really have a lot of questions. There wasn't a lot of questions specific to the movie, but we can now kind of actually go to the overall thoughts on the movie, and I'm going to turn that to you. What were your overall thoughts? What did you think about it?
I would give this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a good like story about just relationships, personal growth, community. Really, I like the whole like community aspect because this is such a very niche community, and how they like also bring up like the gentrification that is happening, which is obviously a thing that's happening right now, and how that affects smaller communities. And I thought it was good. The horse thing was kind of weird, but like I get it. Like this is like based off of like a true community, that this is like a real community in like real life, like Philadelphia. So, huh?
Sorry, continue.
Okay. Was that like a Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
I hate you. But I mean, it was good. But like, I'm sorry, like I went on my phone like on some of the scenes of the movie because I was like, I don't really want to listen to this shit. But like, it was interesting. I wish it was almost more like a documentary, because like some of it was kind of lame, but like it was good. Like my overall just thoughts, like the whole community aspect, drugs, gentrification, personal growth, building up relationships, growing into yourself. It's called something. I should know this because I've learned it so many times. Like it's just a personal growth story overall. So it was good. Would I watch it again? No. You are right. Everyone was like kind of sweaty and like dropping these weird like fucking questionable puzzle bombs, and you're watching it like at one point I was like, do I need to put the like subtitles on, because like these people are straight up like mumbling, but like I was like, I'm not gonna do this to myself.
Something funny about subtitles is that, so I had the subtitles on like I always do, and there were moments in the movie where the people were whispering, and I could not, for the life of me, hear what they were saying, and it was perfectly clear in the text, and I was like, is the movie just not loud enough? So there's times that people are just like, they're in the background and they're saying some shit and you can't hear it because they kind of like brought it down, but like if you had subtitles on, you could hear what they were saying. So +1 for subtitles.
Yeah, for this movie, you definitely need them. I literally had the volume up so high trying to watch this movie, because you're right, people were like whispering really low, and you're like, what are you saying? What are you saying?
Yeah. So, okay. Were there any, like, specifically any, like, notable moments? So not necessarily your favorite part, but any, like, notable moments that you might, like, remember for the future?
I would say, don't turn back on, like, the community that loves you. Because, like, his friend, like, what was his name? Smush? Oh, yeah, Smush. I was close. How he thought, like, his community, like, left him, but, like, they were there all along. You just had to put in, like, the tough love for yourself, and how, even though he was selling drugs, his goal was to, like, buy ranch properties and, like, flip them, and how he was trying to better himself, but in like the worst possible way ever, and ended up dying.
Yeah. I wish I knew.
And that again affected the community.
I wish I knew what the community tried. With him. Because at some point he did seem like, it's like, oh no, it makes complete sense why he's like this. because like you feel like your community is just not there for you, and you have no way of knowing it, and just like they just keep like letting certain like these horse things like these stables get brought down. It seems like no one's doing anything about it, and they're just like letting it happen, and it's just like I want to not let that happen, so I want to make something happen as soon as possible. But the problem is that you have these people who are part of the stable who are your family, but they just like sit around the fire every day talking about the past rather than trying to like better it. Yeah, exactly. I think that actually is I kind of agreed with the cop where he was just like, you guys have to like stop.
Called them out.
Yeah, like you have to do something. Like you can't just sit there and do nothing. So Smush, in a way, like he didn't really do anything that was very like out of the blue. Everything that he did made sense. It was like, oh yeah, of course. If you feel like that, if you feel like no one's taking this seriously and you want to actually make a difference, then of course you're gonna go through as many bounds as you're able to get to that point. And like, of course, based on where he lived, there probably wasn't a lot of job opportunities for him. So of course you're gonna get into like a lot of like sketchy stuff because you want to get to there as soon as possible. And that's the only way. That's the only way that you can see when you don't have family.
Your options
helping you and options. Yeah. So yeah, Smush, it was really sad because it was like, oh, like he seemed like a real character to me, like a real person. I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, he ended up dying, which I didn't think that he would die. Personally, I thought that like the ending was going to be that like the main character like the main character was like actually good at something, and then he decided to like he got like big, like got a lot of money, and then actually saved the stable or something like that. But that wasn't the ending at all.
No, sadly it was not.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. He was trying to find his way out while everyone else is just like sitting around, and then when shit does fall down, it's like they get upset, but it's like you didn't do anything to like prevent it when you knew this was going to happen. Even when they were talking about like that journalist that was coming by and how she wrote that like that one guy was trying to be friendly, and it's like that was your sign, like you need to get this shit together.
So my thoughts on the movie is I would personally rate the movie a 2 out of 5.
Okay.
I think that the movie just told a very generic story, but with horses. It told the same story about like the kid who was like doing some bad stuff in school, and they had to bring him to somewhere that he hated for him to then come to like it, and then something tragic to happen so that he feels more close to that area or that thing. It was the same exact story, and there was nothing different at all. And it was just like, oh my gosh, of course. Now, it was entertaining, and that's the reason why I'm giving it a 2, because I watched it, and I think I was interested throughout the entirety of the movie. But there were just so many things that just didn't make sense, and there were so many things that just like that made sense at the very end, actually, which was the dialogue felt so scripted. It felt like they were just reading from exactly what the script said. And so like there were times that like somebody who's Southern would say like, oh yes, that is exactly what I mean. And like it's like that's not how you're gonna say that. And that's not how normal people speak who's Southern, who's like in that area and stuff like that. And like it was so weird because I'm like, why does it feel so like robotic? And then what I came to realize at the very end was that these people were actually real people. It doesn't seem like they were actors. They were actually people that they kind of like took from this area that there are actually horses in Philadelphia apparently, and this is actually based on like some true events or whatever. And so a lot of the characters in the movie that he's interacting with are these real people from Philadelphia. They're just kind of put on as actors, and that's why their dialogue just felt so robotic and so scripted. So I took off points for that because I'm like, come on. Like that it's a director, like although they're they didn't do horrible acting, like they weren't horrible. I wouldn't say, like, I'm not gonna say that at all, but they needed help. They needed help to deliver those lines better, and I don't think that the director gave them enough time or gave them the proper direction to say, that's like, don't use it exactly like, don't say stuff exactly like that. Like, no one finishes their sentence. Like, when you talk, you barely speak in like actually like full sentences for the most part, or like you don't talk as if you're like spelling everything properly or whatever. Like, a lot of times, especially when it comes to like English, we mesh everything together. We're just like yabba dabba dabba dabba. And so dialogue needs to be like that. Dialogue needs to be like us when we're speaking to each other. Like, I'm not going to say, like, let's say that you hand me a bottle, and I'm not going to be like, thank you very much for the bottle, right? I'll probably just be like, thanks, or oh, a bottle, nice. Like, I won't, like that's real speech, not thank you so much for the bottle, sir. And that's what I felt like that's what I felt like they kind of like ran into, and it really was like, it was very strange. Also, they did not follow along with like very important parts of the story. Like, apparently he was a guy who liked to fight, right? Like, that was the reason why he was getting expelled at school, was because he was a fighter and he liked to like be a troublemaker. He was never a troublemaker.
But you never saw that.
Yeah. Like, where was that character trait? Like, it seemed like he was actually fairly reserved as a kid. It was like, why would you get expelled? Like, I don't understand.
If you like to fight.
Yeah.
Like, you never saw him like fight anybody when he got to like his dad's place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, nobody in the community is like, but also too, Alex, remember, this movie was based off of a book.
Oh, was it? I didn't know.
Yeah, it's based off a book called like Ghetto Cowboy or something. So it was interpreted from a book, but also again based off of like real life stuff, that there are horses in Philadelphia. So,
but even if
maybe
it's
that's
a book,
why.
Even if it's a book, I'm gonna criticize the book then, because you still have to, like, that's a character trait. Like, he gets expelled. The reason why his mother brought him down was because he was so hard to handle that she didn't know what to do with anymore.
But they don't ever show that.
But they never show that. He seems like a very respectful kid. Like, he has his like teenager problems, but like that's just like rebelling and like being like, I don't really want to do that. But other than that, he never showed any like anti like oh, I want to fight or something like that. He just seemed like he liked it. And the reason why he started hanging out with Smush was just because he got cast out of his house, and he just found him on the corner. So it's like everybody put him into every single situation, and he did not react in any like negative ways. I would have also been friends with Smush. I personally would have been a lot more vocal with Smush and said, hey, I don't think this is the right way, and I think you should come back and stuff like that. I'd be more like that. But I do not think that the right answer was to just like give up on Smush, or, you know, ride with him and don't say anything. I think the proper answer with Smush was just to like talk to him and say, hey, like, I know that you're saying that we're family forever, but I want you to know that like we are, and that means that I want you, like, you were also safe with me
forever.
Yeah, or something like that. I kind of wanted to see that in his friend. Like, I felt like he just kind of let everything happen, which again was very like against the idea at the very beginning that he was very like impulsive or very like rowdy and whatever. But it's also just lame. He was just like, oh, okay. Like, it was just like, you just.
But yeah, he just seemed like more quiet. But let's also remember, this is a movie, and they somehow managed to crunch this all into an hour and 55. I feel like if they at least pushed it to like 2:30, which I feel like is not a normal watch time anymore, then they could have added more on both characters. But it's just like a movie, so like, you literally have to crunch everything. I feel like the book would be like so much better to read.
Most likely. I agree, because so many things felt rushed. Like, there was so, like, I did not understand his connection with the horse. Like, his connection, he went in, the horse is very scary, and then he just like starts touching the horse, and he's like, ooh, it's a horse. Like,
ooh, I know. We have a bond.
Yeah,
forever.
We now have a bond now. Like, he just knew, this horse knew who I was. It was just like, oh. And now whenever the horse goes crazy, everybody's like, oh, that's his horse. Like,
yeah, get on his fucking back. Do it.
And then like his father, after telling him like that entire thing, personally, if my father had left me And like all he had to say was like, "Oh yeah, like I went to jail and I really wanted to see you, but yeah, I was in jail."
Yeah,
And
I
it's
was
just
in
like,
jail.
okay, but what happened after you got out of jail? Because you're obviously out of jail right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you? Why
Couldn't you reach out?
Yeah, why haven't you like reached out? Why haven't I seen you? And it seems like the mother is perfectly okay with him, and it doesn't seem like he's like an extraordinarily bad person. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
just like a movie where they crunch everything and something, it makes enough sense to get by, but like if you really talk about it, you're like, so any follow-up,
Yeah.
anything else to get this movie more context,
Yeah.
please? Can everyone talk a little louder?
Is it just me, because I keep having these problems with these movies, and I don't know if it's just that we keep getting unlucky with these movies, or if like I just am really bad at movies.
No, I feel like the audio now for movies, like, if it's like a one-on-one conversation, or even in a group, everyone talks so low, or they just make the background noise so much higher than like the actual conversation. So like, you either crank it up really high, or you have to put subtitles on.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. Like, even when they're around the campfire, like, just the noise of like the fire crackling was so much louder than them actually talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. Yeah, we're just all right. Yeah, so hopefully next next week's movie is finally gets a 5 out of 5 for me. When will a 5 out of 5 exist for me?
I don't know. For you,
Did I give Crip Camp
I
a
have
5
no
out of 5
idea.
or a 4 out of 5?
I think you gave it a 4 or even a 3.
Yeah, I don't remember. But what movie is a 5 out of 5 for me? I don't even know.
For you, I don't know, but hopefully, I feel like the movies I pick are not 5 out of 5s for you, because like I'm not into like the romance. But there's this new movie on Netflix. Obviously, they're all Netflix movies, but it's called like The White Tiger, and I've seen the previews for it, like when you hover over it, the little thing, and it looks pretty good. So it's just called the White Tiger. Let me see what the little thing says about it. But I think it's new. And also, do you know what's crazy? They filmed that movie, the Concrete Cowboy, in like 2019, and it finally got released in 2021.
Okay, interesting. It makes sense because
Isn't
of
that
COVID.
crazy though?
Yeah.
I guess.
But yeah,
true.
like everything ended up getting like pushed off.
Yeah, that is true. I always forget about that shit.
Do you
COVID.
know the singular term for parentheses? So if you're referring to one,
parenthesis, I don't know.
it's
What is it?
parenthesis.
Fuck.
I didn't know that until today. Because I was like talking about parentheses, and I was like, oh, delete the first parentheses. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, it's parenthesis versus parentheses.
Weird.
Yeah. Random. This is how my brain works, guys.
Nice. But yeah, so it's just the White Tiger. It's apparently a rich Indian family's ambitious driver uses his wit and cunning to escape from poverty and rise to the top as an entrepreneur. So it was released January 13th, 2021 in the US. So that's my movie. What's your topic of the week?
The White Tiger.
Yeah, the White Tiger.
I feel like the interesting. Okay. Looks
Yep.
fun. Looks interesting. Is that so that's the movie? Of the
Yep,
week?
that's the movie.
Nice. And I guess I'll say the topic, and yeah, this topic is just school. I want to talk about
Oh,
school.
right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What are our opinions on school and all that
Go
education,
school.
everything?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Love
a fun
that.
topic. I have a lot to say about it. I've spent my
Me too.
years.
I'm in my years, so.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for joining our conversation,
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.
and we will see you in the next chat.